talking about.
Go ahead and call the meeting to order. And if I could have a motion to add the ATC Community Summit on the Appalachian Trail to the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You can't do that because Matt's not here.
I'll wait a little bit. Okay, has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes from our last meeting in December? And so, if we could have a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to the financial report.
Okay, you're gonna have two from last month, when I was not, it should be here. Okay, so let's look at your first one, that's your October 31st, 2015. So for September, you collected $15,955.17. Net collections was $41,480.57. Then you can see your expenditures to date. Total expenditures to date was $53,340.87, which left your remaining balance of $59,859.13. Keep in mind that you do have a commitment still left with the Smoky Mountain Center for the Performing Arts. You have $13,080 left that we still owe them because they're drawing off that $15,000. So with the commitments, you have $46,779.13. Now, if you'll continue on to your next page, October was the best you've had to date since record of 2010 forward. It looks like you average, the TDA averages around 13, right at 14,000. This year you had almost 16,000. So that's very good. Okay. Then your next page, as you can see, it breaks it down how much you spent in your festivals. So you have a remaining balance. You budgeted $30,000. You spent $6,712.40, which leaves your remaining balance of $23,287.60. Same thing with the Pandora. You budgeted $20,228. You've spent $15,973.02, and your remaining balance is $4,254.99. TripAdvisor, you budgeted $20,000. We've only spent $1,312.25. So you have $18,687.75 left. Asheville Citizen Times, you budgeted $26,500. You spent $15,640, which leaves you with $10,860 left. Facebook, you budgeted $10,000. You've spent $4,022.54, which leaves you with a remaining balance of $5,977.46. Google AdWords, we budgeted $3,472. You spent $2,030.67, which leaves a remaining balance of $1,441.33. Your audit and bond, we budgeted $3,000. Right now, we've only spent $350. Your Allison Outdoor Electronic Billboard, you budgeted $2,100. You've spent the total $2,100, so there's nothing left to pay out of that. And then from last year's funds, you have the $5,200 for the Charlotte Chamber of Commerce, and we spent $5,200. So your total spent so far is $53,340.87, which leaves you the remaining balance of $59,859.13. You're budgeted $113,200. You've spent $53,340.87 and balance $59,859.13. And then quickly, I'll move over the next one. This is for the month of November. For October, you collected $7,439.21. So net collection to date was $48,919.78. Your expenditures follows. Your expenditures to date are at $69,581.64, which leaves you with a remaining balance of $43,618.36. You have your commitment of the Smoky Mountain Center. It's now down to $12,440, which leaves you with commitment with the remaining balance in your commitments. You have $31,178.36 left to spend. And then also, same thing for the month of November, if you'll see the collections, you have the $7,439.21, which is your October collection as well. That is the best so far from 2010 and forward. So the past 2 months have been very, very good. And then I won't go into much detail for the next one, but it's the same thing, your budget, that it's just broke down of your expenditures and what you have left is spent in those line items. And just for the new members as well, we do run on a fiscal year, so this is valid until June 30th, and then we'll start again July 1st. And if I could just have a motion to accept as presented, please.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to subcommittee reports,
I don't have anything,
policy and procedures.
aside from what we've got here.
Any more application reviews?
No, not added so far.
I'm gonna go ahead and let Matt speak for the ATC. That's okay with y'all? Y'all?
Thanks. Where you want me?
Anyone you wanna go?
It says it's cold outside, Connie. Come
Ah,
on now.
it's looking good.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for letting me come and kind of give you an update on just kind of a couple things. I've got some support here from our AT Community Committee, so thanks for being here, guys. Jump in and correct me if I'm inaccurate or wrong. Bill.
You're good so far.
All right. So just wanted to update you on what our committee's doing, and also from Rob Sparrow and I went to the Appalachian Trail Conservancy Community Summit back in September, which was just kind of where I'll jump in, kind of give you an update of some fun facts that we learned there and just kind of the overall experience. So there's 30 AT communities, roughly. We're trying to add a few more as we go along, but roughly 30 communities. So we were there amongst all those folks, just kind of sharing what works for us, and vice versa. They kind of go over what they're doing that works in their communities to promote the Appalachian Trail. I'll start off. In my opinion, I'm biased, but Franklin's communities is overall really doing the most. And as far as thoroughness goes, we really get involved, and I'm really proud of our community of what we've been able to do. And just looking across all the other communities, it's kind of apparent that we were getting bombarded with several questions on, hey, how are you doing this? How is this working, etc. So it was fun. It was kind of like validation and a pat on the back kind of for us to witness. A couple of just real quick highlights, if you will, that kind of pertain. I'm trying to really direct them towards this board and how they relate and make sense to you guys. The AT, every 10 years, Bill, stay on me on this, grows 100%. Historically, just looking at the graphs, they showed us some nice graphs of the growth, and they can be directly related to movie releases and that sort of thing. And speaking of movie releases, A Walk in the Woods was recently come out, so we're looking for a big spike off of that release and on into 2016. So again, in your mind, you're thinking marketing Franklin, AT, more people influx just for the AT. That's a pretty big deal. Again, 4 million viewers have seen A Walk in the Woods. It's #1 on the New York Times bestseller list as far as books go as well. So again, that's all drumming up the AT experience. Speaking of experience, my big takeaway as far as tourism and promotion goes from the summit came from one of the rangers, not rangers, but I'm not trying to say Bill.
To the Park Service?
Yeah, just
Well, it's a federal employee. It could have been a ranger. I mean, Park Service
I
has,
think it was.
AT has 2 park rangers.
Regardless, his big thing was, I'd love for communities to start considering pitching or marketing their areas as come experience a national park experience. The Appalachian Trail is a national park. So wouldn't that be kind of cool to pitch to the Atlanta market, hey, come up and have a national park experience? And it's, it's not Great Smokies National Park? No, it's this national park we have in Franklin, North Carolina. It's called the Appalachian Trail. That's kind of the idea of that. That really stuck with me and something that I don't see happening really anywhere. Whether they want to do a section hike or whatever. We've got several locations you can access the AT just within Lincoln County. Another differentiator. 1% of AT users are through hikers. So what's the other segment? Section hikers, flip-floppers, that sort of hiker. And let me give you a couple numbers to consider there. Through hikers on average spend $15 to $20 a day, whereas section hikers or end-to-end hikers, $178 a day. So again, more traffic coming in. These folks are kind of, before I started getting involved, my knee-jerk reaction was, man, they don't have much money. I mean, but how much are they really going to impact the community? But, don't judge a book by its cover. A lot of those folks could be, I don't know, semi-retired folks or independently wealthy folks. We never know. But the numbers speak for themselves. $15 to $20 a day versus $178 a day. Pretty big contrast there. Another solid takeaway from a kind of an idea steal from another community. It seems pretty simple, but it's a local recreation map, and we've got several. Linda's here for the chamber. You guys have lots of maps, but they really have one put together that was kind of encompassing all outdoor recreation access points. So it'll be waterfalls, hiking trails, mountain bike trails, fishing, et cetera, more of a comprehensive all-in-one location that's available online for download and that sort of thing. Just take another look at what we're offering there as far as people. Let's see, what am I trying to say? What I always advocated for, just when I was on this board, is creating the content and the creative, and then market that. So you have some solid stuff to put in people's hands they can digest and use while they're here. Let's see.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Sure.
So we do not have, currently, we don't have a comprehensive,
There's maps out there.
but there are,
And just in my humble opinion, and Rob and I discussing it, we feel like that there could be a better option that's located in one central. I know we've got several websites that promote Franklin, but just another look at that, maybe a refresher. Things change, things get added, get
Well, I know
taken
when
away.
first have come, they'll ask for a certain drop-off, and I have no clue where that drop-off is.
Right,
I mean, I don't, like, something like Roy Bald, I may know, but
right.
there's a lot of spots that I don't even know.
And that's, I'm going to open a big can of worms and we'll shut
Sorry.
it real quick. But that right there in itself is one of the initiatives that we have maybe in our crosshairs for our committee to work on community education. Just whether it's working with Southwestern and doing customer service workshops for companies in town and saying, when you get asked this question by someone visiting here, here's what to say, or here's where to go find that info. That's a big picture thing, but I mean, that's kind of, we've got that on our radar as well.
A lot of people don't even know that there's a road.
Right.
Oh, you do have
And you can only go so with that, so far with that education before you spin the wheels. But just the basics, some people may not know you can fly fish here. I don't know. So, you can take this one. I'm just going to kind of wrap it up. I kind of threw a lot at you, but I would just, on speaking on behalf of the committee, I hope folks here agree with me. I would just encourage you guys, any chance you get to promote, market, etc., the AT experience and outdoor assets in general as a whole. Please do. Please consider it. Consider the numbers. I would love to see some targeted promotions to AT section hikers. There's ways to do it, whether it's through Premier Marketing, they can pull tons of resources or reports, or we've hired other outdoor agencies before to let them do all the heavy lifting. But just consider a focus to really target this specific demographic in AT section hikers. You have,
You guys need to come over to my place then. I put a binder together of things to do while you're here in Franklin and Macon County. And it's this thick.
right,
And 95% of it is all the outdoor activities that we have.
yeah,
And I have one in every guest room.
Yeah.
And I put it in there, all the sheets are in plastic covers. And they'll say, well, we're gonna do this today. Can we pull the pages out of the binder and take them with us? Because there's also individual maps for whatever it is.
sure.
And I said, yeah, just as long as you bring them back and put it back in the binder. But, yeah, it's been that way since I opened the door.
Yeah, so I'm looking for something
Oh, yeah.
equivalent on the digital realm of things too, you know, so, anyway, it's a great point.
Yeah.
Glad you do that. You have, you have to provide that content for your folks.
Yeah,
That adds
because-
value.
And the first reservation I took for this year is a 3-night stay from a hiker in March.
There you go. So you
So
know,
they start.
Yeah.
yeah, and you know, I mean, how many hikers come through.
I have to ask Henry too. What's the flip flopper? Henry.
Phil, you wanna jump
I
on
have
that
never
one?
heard
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
Well, one of the, a flip-flopper is an individual that starts somewhere other than the southern terminus, Springer Mountain, or the northern terminus, Mount Katahdin. A primary example is Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. It's the location of the Appalachian Trail Conservancy headquarters and the AT Park office that oversees the trail. Is theoretically about halfway. So what some people will do to avoid the rush of people, if you will, they'll start, say example, Harper's Ferry, and they'll hike north to Mount Katahdin. And then they'll either take transportation down to Springer Mountain and hike to Harper's Ferry, or they'll come back to Harper's Ferry and hike down to Springer Mountain. So that's a flip-flop. Now, sometimes what happens is your typical northbounder starting at Springer Mountain, they're hiking along and all of a sudden they realize that the pace that they're going, they will not get to Mount Katahdin before Baxter State Park closes because of winter weather. So say they get to Pennsylvania and it's, you know, the 1st of September or whatever. So they will get off trail, get transportation up to Maine, summit Mount Katahdin, and walk south to complete their through hike. So that's the flip-flop.
And also, real quick, while I'm talking about that, I did mention end-to-end as well. There, I mean, that's kind of makes,
I just assumed it was one or the other.
right, so Connie, I mean, that's right, your wheelhouse. A lot of ends are coordinating for a good solid section hike. So Hot Springs might be a cool one to maybe call up in the end up there and say, hey, the end-to-end hiker, and those are the type of people who are spending $178 a day. They're looking for an experience on the AT. The trick there is kind of collaborating maybe and offering some sort of shuttle. I don't know what that would look like, but
Did you have a husband and wife from St. Louis come in talking about a group of, I think it's 6 people from all over the world coming in to do some hiking? I mean, they want to, and the problem that they're having in coming in and talking to people here in town was the shuttle to get from like the inn to where they wanted to go to hike another section, because they wanted to be off trail every night.
They came by and talked to us. You could call you, Bill?
No,
You gave them your number.
Yeah.
Their number.
Yeah,
Several other numbers. They're
because-
doing it a little bit differently.
yeah,
Very wealthy group. They've been.
very wealthy group,
Just
and
did one in
they wanted,
Ireland and just finished.
and they're talking like April or May in doing this, because they're looking at taking my whole inn.
Yeah, they want to come in every night. So they want somebody
Oh, wow.
to pick them up at a certain point, take their car to the ending point.
Yeah.
Do that kind of thing.
I mean, yeah,
So they can get back into town.
and they're international.
international, they've got like 3 or 4 of them coming over from Europe.
Yeah, yeah.
And even, I think one was an Australian or a New Zealander that would fly into them. And then they live in the suburbs of St. Louis, and they just flew in order to
I think
work out how to
And I don't know the numbers, we could even ask the ATC if they can probably pull some numbers like percentage of international. I mean, it's a big draw. I know it's a big draw, and I don't know what you guys currently doing any international?
But I know Premier should.
But they said they were in Outdoor 76, talking to somebody over there.
I mean, I would.
Yeah, and they were,
It's a big
you know,
market.
trying to
Germany.
check out places that would hold the group, that they all wanted to stay
Gotcha.
together.
Not even know issue
Yeah, I know.
So that's an awesome.
Maybe
Yeah.
we should do our own shuttle service.
Tell them. Yeah. I don't have, I don't.
And
I
this
got
is
rid of
obviously
my
very
minivan.
detailed,
personal.
kind of shuttle service. I mean,
Yeah.
I know we got the Macon County Transit, that's just very one point into town, but this is more specialized.
Oh, this is very specialized. But,
So
yeah.
anyways, any questions? Anything else?
Thank you for that.
Sure, and you guys are certainly welcome. We'd love to have someone, if you want, on a rotating basis, come to some of our meetings and see kind of what we're up to. Very ambitious in our initiatives and all that, so.
And I just want to mention the AT celebration period concept that we're thinking to duplicate from last year.
Yes, do you want to do that? Is that okay?
You know, I think the more mature members of the group will remember from last year that the AT Community Council decided, instead of focusing on one weekend, that we looked at establishing an AT celebration period where our efforts would start the first day of spring and go through Earth Day. So it's about a 5-week period. And last year we coordinated a number of businesses that would do certain different things on different weekends. And then our goal was to help publicize that as the council, using our Facebook page and that type sort of thing, to publicize the different events that were taking place. So again, we thought it was successful last year. We're not tied to, you know, one weekend you get bad weather and it washes everything out. But again, we're looking for, as last year 3 Go Outfitters had a weekend they focused, Outdoor 76 had 1 or 2 weekends they focused on. Now, the hiking club coordinated with Lazy Hiker Brewery, which it wasn't open at the time, but had an event. This year we're looking at the club will do one, and the brewery will also do something. And of course, we're open to other businesses that want to do something kind of celebrating the Appalachian Trail, celebrating the thru hikers, and then we'll coordinate that information and help publicize it through that 4 to 5 week period. Matt mentioned about the thru hikers out on the trail. Because of the film, Appalachian Trail Conservancy has been working for now over a year, concerned about the number of people on the trail, want to make sure they have a good time and that the trail is protected. One of the things they started last year and are continuing this year is they are recommending that people self-register when they're going to start and where. There's not a fee to do that. They're not saying you have to do it, but they're recommending that people do register, and by going to their website, they'll be able to see how many other people are planning to start on that same date. So if they don't want to be out there with 60 people trying to get a space at a shelter that's built for 20, they'll know that. And so the registration has been going on for about 3 months so far. 603 people have registered to start at the southern terminus. There's a chart that they update, ATC updates twice a week, that shows how many people on any given day plan to start either at Amical State Park, which is the approach trail, about 8 miles to the AT, or start physically at Springer Mountain. So it gives a good spread of how many people are starting on the trail at those dates, and 8 to 10 days later, they're going to be at Wyoming Stair, and hopefully some in their way or getting on Macon County
I'll just
Transit.
mention one more thing kind of related to that. Hiwassee is a town kind of similar in a way. You can go stop into Hiwassee and stay the night as a hiker and resupply or whatever. So the more Franklin's doing to say, hey, you know, we're the AT option for you to coming into town, et cetera, but that more attractively look.
Is there a start date that they actually start, or is it just in between?
We've already had 2 northbound hikers come through.
I was gonna say, last year they started early, I think it was February, I started seeing them.
Right, now you do like, for example, right now, there were 3 people, there were 3 or 4 people that signed up to start 1 January. You know, typically, the big starts are 1 March and 15 March, or 1 April Fool Day. But that doesn't mean, like I said, you know, you look at the chart and you go online, that they had a few folks that started 1 January.
It's too cold.
Is there any kind of transportation schedule at where the Appalachian Trail crosses the highway up there?
Right, and
is there any
in
kind of
fact,
schedule?
y'all's committee helped on that. Macon County Transit is come on board. They started last year with a schedule. This year with support both from the TDC and the TDA. They've increased that length of time that they feel they can break even, if you will, and provide transportation from Winding Stair, there where Highway 64 crosses by the big cut down into Franklin. I believe it's twice a day. I don't recall the
Is there anything
specifics.
posted up there though about what times they come through?
Not there. There's some policy issues with how much you can advertise on public land, if you will. But that information is published in various guidebooks that most hikers look at, and also we can look at getting that information at the places where hikers will get off trail or stay and will.
And word of mouth travels really well on the trail too. So.
I was gonna say, they have a lot of knowledge while they're on the trail, like phone numbers and people to call.
And that's an even bigger reason that we perform well as a town.
So how do they get that? Is it Facebook? Is Facebook one
The
of the
information,
biggest?
those guidebooks are
Just the
big.
The guidebooks, and then there are about three websites that most through hikers will go to glean information. So we've got Macon County Transit. I believe also, I think Ron Haven is going to run his shuttle again, which he has done in the past. And then it's easy to hitchhike. I mean, people, those of us here, we know, people out there with big packs on in the spring. So hitchhiking
And then some
into
of
town.
them will do it too.
And then we've got members in our hiking club that will sign up to volunteer. Mostly, we end up taking them back. They'll get into town, but once they get to a motel or whatever, they may call up. But we're really hoping that the Macon County Transit will really be good. And that's a big plus for Franklin. Providing, if you will, public transportation during the major through hiker period. It really shows that we care.
Thank you guys.
And I'm always available for any questions after that. Be glad to answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to old business. Advertising opportunity with Ellison Outdoor Advertising. Summer retailed it in the last week because I think a couple people were in here and didn't.
I'm assuming Nelson Bumgarner came and presented, and if I'm not mistaken, is it the same price?
He said he would keep it the same price.
It's that we, but the going up and you get more.
I think $100 more than 400 was where we could have more advertising opportunity. But have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't
had
either.
access, I haven't seen it, so.
That's the wrong
He's
time.
got several on there,
Is it,
so. if
is
you
it the
have-
one across from Subway?
Yeah,
I drive that every day and I've never seen it.
I've never seen it.
Never,
Yeah.
not once.
This is
He's
one.
got
you have to
There's
sit
two,
and.
and,
Oh, there we go.
there's
Yeah.
two, if you want to pass that
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
He's
Flip,
got so
You have
many
to-
that
flip
you
two
really would
pictures
have to sit there
over
for a
and,
while.
Yeah.
Did you sit out there? Did
Yes,
you?
that's
How
the
long
one
did
I
it
saw.
take?
his times were right.
Really?
Yeah, 6 seconds. Yeah, 6 seconds every 4 minutes. and that's a long time.
A lot of
Seems
cars
like
A
passing
lot
by.
of cars pass with me.
Yeah.
The thing, what I took from it was it's a sign that says Franklin ahead. And there's a lot of signs that says you're about to get to Franklin. It seems to me like there should be more of a message there than just that. If Maggie Valley's got one, and of course they're advertising the skier on the skis or something like that.
He told us we could have.
It's a nice picture and everything, but it says, right? Seems to me like you could utilize that to send a message, and that,
Well, he said we
more
could.
of a
Yeah.
message,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Or advertise whatever festivals are going on.
Yeah.
We can just customize
So
it.
for the 6 seconds that it's on, every 4 minutes, you're not getting a whole lot of views. And for the most part, the majority of people who get to that point have already decided where they're going. I don't support billboards in Macon County that we would purchase. I think it's a waste of money.
I think as long as it's a sign that says Franklin, North Carolina, there might be benefits if you can deliver another message that.
Well, the other billboards are a lot more expensive, is that right?
But you had 100% coverage.
Yeah, they just stated it.
For how long?
Well, you could do it
Well,
like
it's a
traditional
quarterly
billboard.
or
Paper billboards.
Yeah.
And see, we did that at one time where we were advertising festivals or things like that.
Yeah.
And just, that is what we did for those as advertisements.
But then now that costs every time.
Change the print.
Right, and she says we could change this whenever. But
Without
again,
cost.
I've never seen it, and I have driven it specifically looking, but I didn't think to stop and wait.
That's what I
I
tried.
tell you, that is
Yeah.
a money-making sign out
I don't
there.
think there's a
There's
pull
the
off
guy
over
says
there
there's
that you could just sit there for an hour.
Yeah.
Get hit.
Well, Zonka did it with his and.
There was 6 other cars behind me.
Oh.
No.
Did you get in the adrenaline?
Just waiting with.
If you want to see it, I know.
Yeah, it's,
6 seconds is
So then, what are we voting on whether to, because I know he said we needed to do
I think
it.
you would, if I'm not mistaken, you would vote tonight if you guys want to do another contract, do a yearly contract, if I read the minutes correctly, in order to ensure that yearly rate. So that's what's on the table tonight. Or you can always vote not to renew the contract and be done with it.
So we're talking $350 a month or $450 a month?
$350.
For more fees, if you wanted to go up.
is there a budget amount used for that?
I don't think
Last year it was a little bit different because he came on account the start of January instead of trying to start it with our fiscal year, so you've got some overlap right now. This year, for instance, we've spent $2,100 on that.
So the $2,100 was not the budget, we didn't, there wasn't a $2,100 budget.
Right.
It was just we agreed to do that.
So if we take the yearly contract, it's $350 a month. That's $4,200 a month for a sign that shows 2.5% of the time. I don't think that's a big deal. Especially considering the majority of people driving by have already decided what they're going to do. It's a good billboard for somebody. It's not a good billboard for us.
I agree.
Just because of the time.
That was my thought when he was here last month.
Well, I'm not gonna pull over and sit there for that long and try to get.
I only did it to see,
That's
to
because
see
we
the
know
billboard.
people
I
that
do
don't know,
like
we're just
that.
seeing whatever's up there at the
Yeah.
time.
And truthfully too, though, if you had a business to where you could change and do some promotions, it would benefit, but to where when you're with us, we're just gonna be having to wait on festivals, and then you're gonna have to figure out, okay, what festivals do you put, who's gonna promote that festival? So I'm gonna have to lean more with Josh on this one, I think it does work well for a specific type of business. I think it could work well for the TDA possibly if we had more festivals or events. I just don't know that it works for us right now.
Or if it shows more often.
Yeah.
No, and I mean,
If it shows more often.
when we had billboards before, we, let people let festivals use them. And, you know, it's not really our job to, we're typically we give festivals money to help get started. But it's not our job to also advertise for them. So spending that amount of money for that little exposure,
It's not benefiting them or us.
it's not benefiting them at all.
And the whole point is to get people into Franklin, right? And like you said, if they're coming up to Georgia Road, they're either stopping, I mean, what percentage are seeing the billboard and saying, oh, I think I should discover Franklin? I mean, they already know.
So is there a motion on
I move that we don't renew the contract.
that? All in favor?
The way you do that?
Any items from the board?
I have one thing, if I may. In front of you, I've worked on compiling an updated contact list for members. If you will just look over that and make sure your phone numbers are correct, email addresses are correct. I know Connie's is incorrect, so that's one I've got to change. And I'll be glad to bring a clean version back to our February meeting. So he's good. Josh, are you good?
Yeah.
Donnie, are you good?
Yes,
Okay. Tim? You're just good.
So, just in case you need to come within the next month, before the next meeting, the phone number that should be listed for me is 349-9194. A number that's there was Michael's cell phone.
And the emails is
Yes, because he had a different email.
I would like to apologize for being late today and missing last month.
It's okay.
Basketball season's almost over. You guys don't pay me enough to skip my kids' basketball game.
No,
You're forgetting.
that's right. We understand about having children.
Yeah, I had to bring one.
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
She's here.
There's no way we could lose it.
No.
Not gonna happen.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're done with this one. Are we done with that? Okay, I do want to bring something up. Is there any way, even if it is maybe last minute, that we could maybe get some kind of email or notification that there's something added to the agenda? You know, I know this was the ATC, that was the last minute. Even if we, well, I mean, I would have liked to, I mean, I had already looked at the agenda and knew roughly what we had to discuss. I wasn't planning on a 30-minute presentation because I needed to do something. But anyhow, so is there any way we could, even if it's something an add-on, if we know ahead of time, you know, a little
Yeah,
email
that's
or
fine.
text or
Yeah,
something?
no,
like
that's fine.
an item is going to be voted on to be added or something, then, I mean, that was a 30-minute presentation, which isn't long
Sorry.
for a presentation, but when you're not scheduled or, I don't know, it's just.
This one cost me.
And that's kind of a presentation,
I understand.
Anyone else? Okay, for announcements, the next regular scheduled TDA meeting is February 8th, 5:30, take place. And if we can have a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
What y'all do?
Good job. Okay.
Every time I